So, this is a serious video. Not like your grandma's in the hospital kind of serious. More so like you may have killed the neighborhood dog with your car kind of serious, you know? So I'm gonna take you back about a decade or so, or however long it's been, to when me and myself and I was in high school. Now, high school, as everybody knows, is a grand old time. It's a time where you can discover yourself, kiss as many men as you want, and feel no repercussions. It's great. But high school is also a time where you kind of change as a human being, and your outlook on life also changes, and even your outlook on yourself also changes as well. I think high school is also one of the times in a person's life where a lot of insecurities develop because you're around so many people, and whether you want to or not, most people end up comparing themselves to other people, being like, why aren't I like him? Why is he so muscly and strong? So cut to high school me, and this might be absolutely mind-blowingly shocking for you. I was a pretty skinny kid, and I'm still a skinny guy now, but not nearly as much as I used to be. Now, for me as a person, I wasn't overly self-conscious about myself, thankfully, because I probably would have been an emotional wreck if I cared about what I looked like. As you could probably tell now, I don't really care. But even with that outlook, I still knew that, like, my skinniness wasn't all that appealing to look at as a human being. Weirdly enough, I was really insecure about my arms, like, not even the front angle, but like more so the back. I don't know, it was really weird. And it wasn't like a huge insecurity or anything like that. Like, it wasn't, like I said earlier, crippling or anything. It was more so just something I noticed and I didn't necessarily like. And what I used to do to kind of combat that was I used to wear either the long sleeve cardigan, the uniform cardigan that my school had, or I wore the really big sweaters that made me look not as skinny as I actually was. And I pretty much spent all my high school years dressing like that. You know, it was very rare that I ever wore short sleeves because, again, I was a skinny guy, and I knew it wasn't all that appealing to look at. Now, fast forward to 2022, the year that pretty much everything changed for me. I don't even remember exactly the day that it started, but I do remember the month, where it was the month of May, and I was just like going through a lot of life changes. Like, I was doing a career change. You know, my family close to me had a bunch of changes that happened. You know, it was just like everything was blowing up in my world. COVID was ending. That was great too. So everything was changing, and as things in life was slowly getting back to normal to what it was the years prior to the disease epidemic plowing through the world, I for some reason had the motivation to go to the gym. Now, I wasn't going into this raw dog. I wasn't an absolute stranger to the gym because I had played competitive hockey the years before, and I had spent a lot of time working out to kind of make myself the best goaltender I could. But I was still pretty uneducated, pretty illiterate when it came to actually getting huge swole muscles in the gym, because I pretty much, you know the meme, every day is leg day? That was literally me training for hockey. Now, putting all that aside, I went to the gym, and you know, it was cool. It was a fun experience. I kind of liked it. Obviously, I was weak as fuck. Like, I remember I couldn't bicep curl, like, I could barely do 30 pounds, I think, or something like that. It was like really, really low, especially for someone who had been working out for almost all their life, right? So, you know, I was on the bottom rung. I was skinny and weak enough that a gust of wind could probably kill me, but I stuck with it. And to make sure I stuck with it, I kind of made my gym routine go and happen early in the morning. It was the very first thing I did. You know, I woke up, left for the gym, came back, and then started my day. And that's kind of how I stuck with it. And as time went on, I slowly started to build this habit where it just felt wrong if I didn't go to the gym anymore. Like, even though I might not have enjoyed it some days, or some days it might have felt like a chore, an absolute dread getting out of bed to go to the gym, I still did it because it kind of just felt right to me, right? Once you build a habit like that, it just like, you just feel like you need to do it no matter how much you hate it, which I think is very interesting in the terms of the neuroscience that goes through with that. But anyway, getting back to the whole gym grind thing, I stuck with it, and honestly, my diet wasn't even that crazy. I remember my post-gym grind meal was a bowl of whole wheat Cheerios, a peanut butter bagel, and a yogurt, and that was the extent of my diet. I mean, I had the protein shake and the creatine as well, but that was the extent of my diet. Like, I didn't really track or care about anything else aside from that. So it was a pretty bare bones gym routine, but honestly, after sticking with it for, I think it must have been, what, 8 months at that point? Like, the results that you see were just mind-blowing. Going to the gym was really life-changing for me. And that's not even just in a health sense. That's in, like, a health sense, a mental sense, and, you know, really, it changes you in ways that you wouldn't think that it changes you. Like, for example, I remember when I was at my largest in muscle mass, probably a year or two ago, I found myself being way happier to even just leave the house. You know, every single task that I did throughout the day, or any kind of social gathering, or anything that I went to, I found that I was just so happy to go. And I don't even think that's a case of ego where I'm like, oh, I hope people notice how fucking jacked I am, and I hope people touch me and shit like that. I don't think it's that. I think it's more so like every unconfident thing I had about myself just kind of faded away. And even for me, someone who looks at themselves in the mirror every morning and doesn't have an opinion on how they look, like, I don't fucking care. It's interesting to see the effect that it had on me. And I honestly think that if people have... Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. If people have these feelings about themselves and they're not a fan of what they look like, or they think they should look a certain way, or they compare themselves to somebody, honestly, going to the gym is fucking amazing, man. I found that the gym also helped me in ways that I didn't think it would, even aside from the points that I mentioned earlier. Like, it helped me feel like I could really do anything that I put my mind to, because when you think about it, a lot of people these days kind of feel like they need to always be getting work done, or always be doing something, or like working 12-hour days to accomplish their dreams or whatever. I feel like that's kind of prevalent, and even though that's on the downward trend as it used to be, I still feel like it's prevalent as ever out there these days. But going to the gym every day kind of made me feel like I could accomplish anything, because when you take it at a face value, you are doing something and dedicating time to something every single day of the week, or almost 6 days a week if you're whatever schedule. So when you compare your 6 days of going to the gym a week to something as simple as working an extra hour or two on some side project, entrepreneurial thing, or whatever you want to work on, it all of a sudden seems like a much smaller workload. And since it seems like such a smaller workload, you all of a sudden feel like, hey, mate, this isn't so bad. Like, I'll knock this out of the park, no problem. And I don't know if that was just an effect that I felt after going to the gym for a while, but it just kind of, it almost felt like a snowball. You know, things in my life started to improve with going to the gym. My whole quality and outlook on life kind of improved. It's just like, it was a snowball effect, as I just said. So really, I can't recommend it enough. I think the biggest enemy that a lot of people have when first starting out into the gym is two things. Number one, it's themselves. I mean, getting out of the house those first few days and actually going through the work, especially if you've never done it before, can be absolutely daunting and seem like a horrible time, and you might hate it, and it might be the worst experience you've ever had, but at the end, you know, it's gonna be worth it. And for some people, it might even be hard even after they've kind of established it as a habit. I think that the range for starting a habit is like 30 to 60 days or something like that. So 1 to 2 months of going to the gym before it just kind of ingrains in your brain and you feel like you have to go. But once you get to that point, at least in my experience, things got much easier for me. And the second reason I think a lot of people are kind of reluctant to go to the gym is because they don't really know what to expect, or they don't know what to do, or they think, you know, the people at the gym might look at them and judge them or something like that. And after being a relatively consistent gym goer for, what, 2-3 years now, I can safely say that nobody gives a fuck what you're doing. I mean, unless you're doing one of those CrossFit things where you're fucking jumping around the room and doing backflips or something, nobody's gonna care. Nobody's even gonna bat an eye at you. Like, I can't even think of a single time I've looked at somebody and thought that they were weird or, you know, shouldn't be in the gym. Like, the only time I thought that was when a woman was in the weight section, the free weight section with the dumbbells, and she was just eating fucking chicken with her hands. The fact that she was eating it with her bare hands and then working out and then coming back and eating it again with her bare hands, ugh. Yeah, bad. It was bad. It was bad. I judged her 100% that day. And in terms of not knowing what to do when it comes to the gym, I think it's important that as a beginner, doing research is a good idea. I think finding a routine that works for you, whether you want to go to the gym to start off 3 days a week or you want to jump right into things at 6 days a week, you know, it's really up to you. But honestly, you should be doing your own research. Now, I know that's probably, if you're thinking of going to the gym, not what you want to hear. I'm sure you want a routine kind of dug out for you, or a routine that you could find online, which honestly, you can find routines online. So in conclusion, fellas, you should go to the gym, or at least try it out if you haven't already, because if you stick with it and you keep that routine going, I think it could honestly do some really good for you. And that's even just exercise in general. Like, even if you just start with going for a run or going for a walk, you know, any exercise is good exercise. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. I wanted to do this video for a while, and I thought it might be fun to do. So hopefully I encourage you to go to the gym, and I'll see you in Swole City soon. See you guys later.